7.5 years ago, Eric and I met I was invited to a scholar in residence. Are you going to talk about it?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll hear more from Erica, but that was the first time we met, and that's how Erica got hooked on learning the daf. And we're going to hear from her experience learning.
So I'm really going to talk about the experiential part, and it's very personal. So apologies if you're looking for Torah from me.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me to speak at the Siyum. It's an honor to be here physically and virtually with so many women and men completing Gittin and to share the celebration of completing Shas with Gail. I grew up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. That's Canada for people who aren't aware, attending Hebrew school at the local conservative synagogue. Although I spent a year at Stern College after I graduated from my university, my secular college, Gemara wasn't part of the curriculum. After I married and moved to Silver Spring, Maryland, where we still live, I occasionally attended shul classes and even learned the Mishnayot of Seder Moed in memory of my father. But I never considered learning Gemara or Daf Yomi. But never say never. My mother, Zichrona Livracha, died on February 15th, 2016. That was Vav Adar. And I made a commitment to say Kaddish for my mother at least once a day for the 11 months. While I was a regular Shabbat morning shul goer before then, I'd never daven daily, nor did I regularly go to shul for Mincha Maariv. On Shabbat. That would interfere with my nap. But on February 27, 2016, when I was going to shul very regularly at the Camp Mill Synagogue in Silver Spring, Maryland, Michelle Cohen-Farber was a scholar in residence and taught the daf, Gittin 76. I had to look it up, and it's still online, that announcement, between Mincha and Maariv. I loved it. Michelle made the daf accessible, and I could follow what she was talking about. On the way home from shul after Shabbat, I said to my husband, I could listen to a podcast and learn the daf. My voice must have been a little questioning because his response was, of course you can. At the time, I was working about 20 miles from home. If anyone knows Washington, that's a drive that could take anywhere from 35 minutes to an hour and a half each way. And the car became where I listened to the daf. For the Shabbat daf, because there was no recording at the time, I tried several different podcasts, none of which appealed to me. They either presumed knowledge I didn't have, went too fast, or didn't present sensitive subjects with the care that Rabbanit Michelle does. Eventually, I learned the daf myself using the Koren Talmud Bavli. Thank you, Michelle, for starting to record the daf for Shabbat at the beginning of this cycle. I continued to learn the daf in my car on my way to work, even after I changed jobs. Maybe I picked a job in Baltimore so I would have sufficient time to listen to the daf on my drive. Then the pandemic hit and I was working from home. You would think that would make things easier. No commute, but it didn't. I had trouble separating work life and home life. For a while I floundered, falling behind and catching up. But finally I found a quiet time to learn. I kept my hands busy with a craft that didn't need a lot of thinking. I find that I need something to busy my hands, to focus my brain on what I'm learning. About 9 months ago, I retired. A lot of change in the last 7.5 years. Again, you would think that would make things easier, and again, it didn't. I spent less time in the car and my home routine was disrupted. I tried attending the Zoom shiur regularly, especially for Gittin, rather than just on Sunday morning at 12:15 a.m. But no one wants to see me fall asleep on Zoom. At least after Shabbat, I've had that nap I mentioned before. So I've settled back into crafting while I listen to the daf. So what have I learned from 7.5 years of daf yomi? Anyone can learn the daf and connect with it. You just have to find the right teacher. If you know someone who is thinking about learning daf yomi, tell them not to wait. Just jump in. When I started, I had no idea where I was in the cycle. If I'd waited, I might have lost my motivation. Don't expect to remember many of the dapim in detail. I know, Gita, I'm looking at you. I know there are some who do, but not me. But words and concepts get repeated frequently. and you'll absorb them along the way. I know how a new moon was determined, what a treifa is, and the different parts of the Beit HaMikdash and what happened where, though I do have a map of the temple on my wall in case I need to remember. Finding a regular time to learn the daf really helps me. When I fall behind is when I don't or can't follow that advice, or when my schedule changes. And if you can attend the Zoom sessions, do it. I've enjoyed the ones I've attended immensely and wish I lived a few time zones to the west. For me, having the cards that Hadran provided for Nashim or an English translation nearby helps when I forget the meaning of a concept or word that is central to the current discussion. One theme that I noticed that runs through Gittin is thinking ahead or planning for what comes next. And I'm sure you can see where this is going. Bli ayin hara, I am looking forward to learning Kedushin Bet on Tuesday, celebrating the Siyum for Kedushin in Poland in November, and celebrating with the entire Hadran community in June of 2027. Mazal tov, everyone.